Welcome back to another episode of BJCP Beer Reviews with Leo. Today I'm going to be looking at BJCP Style 13A English Dark Mild. A highly underrated style in my personal opinion, and a great one for drinking whenever and wherever. Our one-sentence summary for the style is a dark, low-gravity, malt-focused British session ale readily suited to drinking in quantity. This style falls under category 13, brown British beer, which also includes British brown ale, 13B, and English porter, 13C. It is certainly the younger brother of the two by alcohol by volume, but I would say it punches above its weight in terms of the flavor it produces, given its low ABV. And today, the beer we're going to be looking at is Yards Brawler Champion Ale. So with that out of the way, let's have a drink. So while I'm opening this, I can tell you that Yards is a brewery located in Philadelphia, my hometown, and this is the bottle. When I first tried this, I didn't think I would be nearly as impressed as I was, but it's become actually a beer that I really quite like and enjoy. As you know, I'm going to be judging this beer on appearance, aroma, flavor, mouthfeel, and then finally giving an overall impression, which pertains to how well I feel this beer is representative of the style. And that will translate to a score out of 50, which you can double, and in that way get a score out of 100. Okay, so this is what the beer looks like. I gave it a kind of heavy-handed pour to produce a nice head, and you should know that with an English dark mild, you don't necessarily need to expect a significant head, but it's always appreciated as it helps release a lot of nice aroma. So, trying to look at it, given an analysis of the appearance, I can hold it up to the light. Yeah, it's got a nice fluffy head. I might say maybe creamy. The color, I would say, is on the darker side of copper. I think that's in line with style. Yeah, a bit of a reddish hint to it. More or less in line with the color of my shirt, actually. So on appearance, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 3. And I'm going to keep a little calculator going so that we can have the score by the end. And give it a whiff for the aroma. Yeah, really nice aroma. Difficult not to immediately just dig into this and have a drink. In terms of the aroma, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a malt-driven style. There's essentially nothing to speak of in terms of a hop character, and again, that is part of the style of the beer. I get very much that kind of, mid-color crystal malt. Sweet, maybe a little bit of fruit. I don't know if that fruit character could be coming from the yeast. This is a style that's usually made in London historically, and London yeast are known for quite an expressive fruitiness. So yeah, I pick up kind of characters of like raisin, kind of those like shriveled up fruits, maybe like a prune as well. Yeah, I would say that the aroma is not especially intense, not like you know, as an IPA would be super hoppy. I would not say that, though this is a malty style, it's, impactfully malty in the aroma. Kind of subtle, but inviting. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 on aroma, and again, this is partially because for the style, I don't think you should expect a significant aroma. This beer is brewed at a low ABV, and so it's always going to be difficult to impart significant character in the aroma and in the flavor. But on the other hand, that means that it ends up being a lot more drinkable. Going back to the appearance very briefly, you can see that the head has died down. I think this is kind of typically what you would expect, and it's pretty nice, actually. Okay, so I'm going to do flavor last. I think that's my usual order. It's been a while since I've done one of these because I just got a new job and moved. Yeah, so I'm going to start with mouthfeel and then come back to flavor. Yeah, so it's quite light in body. It's quite drinkable as a result of that, and I'm not sure that there's a whole lot more to say. I wouldn't say it's especially astringent. Yeah, all the other descriptors that come to mind, I think, pertain more so to the flavor, which I'm going to get into next. So, on the mouthfeel, that's scored out of 5, and it's got a light carbonation level. I think that also contributes to the drinkability. This is a beer that's supposed to be quite drinkable, and I think essentially the mouthfeel could get in the way if it were any bigger, to be honest. So I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5 on mouthfeel. Finally, we're going to look at the flavor. Hold on a minute, let me catch up on my calculator. I think I gave it a 10 out of 12 on aroma and a 5 out of 5 on mouthfeel. Okay, so flavor out of 20. Excuse me. Yeah, so it's really here in the flavor that the malt starts to come through. To be honest, I have held this bottle maybe a little bit longer than I should have, and I don't think this is a style that holds up especially well. I would say try to get it on draft at a bar, preferably the brewery, because I think that's where you're going to get the freshest and best quality. If you're lucky, you might even find it on cask. I think cask is an excellent way to serve this style. I can get into my opinions on cask in general elsewhere, but generally speaking, I do wish it was a little bit cooler. Cask ales tend to be served a bit warmer, but I do really enjoy them for their creaminess and smooth drinkability. Getting distracted. My apologies. Okay, flavor. Yeah. Man, I wish I had like a flavor descriptor wheel pulled up. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and pull up the BJCP Style guidelines. Take a look at the flavors that I should be getting and see what does jump out at me. So they say that you can actually get a very wide range of malt flavors, as well as yeast flavors. I would say, as I said before, from the aroma, the sort of raisin flavor comes through pretty strongly. I think that can border on almost a bit of like a stale or oxidized character, and that could again be owing to a slightly older bottle that I have. They say that the finish can be sweet to dry. How does this one stack up? I would say relatively dry in the finish. Yeah, actually, you get a little bit of like a vinous or Venus quality, like wine in the finish. I think that's a combination of that kind of raisiny flavor with a little bit of bitterness and maybe a little bit of tang. yeah, again, those kind of bring to mind maybe that there's some oxidation going on. And I'm not blaming the brewery. I'm sure that if I had this on draft, it would be even better. It's enjoyable as it is. Um, I don't I don't want to say that it's especially sweet. I don't get that range of malt character, especially. Um, so not so sweet or caramelly. Um, Even toffee, I think, gives too much of a sweet connotation, but certainly there's a bit of toasty character. I would say closer to maybe like a bready or my dad is a baker, so like fresh baked bread, especially when he uses certain nuts, you can get that kind of bready, nutty quality. A little bit of roast character, and yeah, you know, coffee in the sense that it's like a light roast coffee that you haven't added any sugar or cream or anything to, but definitely not like a dark roast where you get those kind of characteristics you would expect out of like a big stout or something. This is much more of like a subtle, mild, um, like I said, like a light roast, maybe a medium roast coffee. Again, I've kind of gone into the fruit character, a little bit of that sort of tangy, sour, dark fruit type character. I could see plum, especially, plums usually have a really great upfront sweetness, but then as you get towards the core of the plum, it gets more like, again, vinous and a little bit tart. I think, and especially the skin can maybe be a little bit astringent. I think those kind of aspects of plum come through in the flavor here. Um, as the beer's warming up a little bit, I'm actually getting a little bit of maybe some coffee notes in the aroma as well. So that's always appreciated. Uh, you know, most most of our taste is a combination of both what we get in our mouth, but also what we get in our nose. So um, when something stands out in the aroma, that I think contributes to the quality and enjoyability of the beer. The quaffableness, I think, is a term the beer geeks like to use. So flavor, I'm gonna give it a 15 out of 20. I think, maybe it's personal bias showing, but inherently there's a bit of a trade-off that you're always going to be competing with when you have a beer that's super drinkable like this one is. The flavor is never going to be fully there. I think, you could maybe push that up to 16, 17, or 18 in terms of how on target it is for the style. But I think that grading should be reflected more in the overall impression. And again, I think this is a relatively prototypical example of the style. Obviously, if I could get over to London and see the Spurs play, that would make my day. And I could definitely go to a bar and get a good mild there. But here in America, I think Yards does some of the best English style ales, and I think Brawler is certainly an example of that. So I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 on overall impression. That gives it a 43 out of 50, and that is a solidly made beer. So cheers to Yards, cheers to you. I hope you enjoy your beer drinking endeavors, and have a great one. Thank you for tuning in.